after a month of not doing any FNAF AU stuff, we are back. As you can see by the first seconds of the opening footage, I did a lot of stuff off screen, and that's because I really was struggling to figure out how to do the anatomy, and I finally got it down. Now, at this point, off screen, I just need to color her in and do some finishing touches. At this point, I would like to make a small confession that every piece of audio you have ever heard from me has not been scripted, but has been recorded in bits and pieces, and that's why it sounds kind of weird. I end up having to stop to breathe a lot, and I have to cut out little sections. I don't know why, but I just lose stamina talking sometimes when I'm recorded, but in real life, this doesn't really happen. I mention this so that you understand that even when I'm recording short videos like my shorts that I've started to do more recently, or, recording these YouTube videos, I could never do, live streaming. Because if I did do live streaming, you guys would see me, completely lose my shit, say random ass bullshit, and then completely freeze for, minutes at a time. Okay, I'm stalling. So, as you can see in my Chica video, currently in front of you, I gave Chica some fuzzy legs. These are, as you can see on the other side, meant to be a sort of costume that's pulled over the animatronic, kind of like stockings or a petticoat. I think that's what they're called. I don't know how dresses are. Did I mention I'm unscripted? I came up with this by messing around with my brushes and deciding, yeah, that actually looks really good. I want Chica's design to look more animalistic compared to the others. There's something uncanny about her. Like I mentioned, I do like the living dinosaur approach to the bird. There are a few approaches I think you can do with Chica, which is make her cartoony and off-putting or sexy, and I don't really like the sexy stuff. I think that was more just Scott going hee hee ha ha. But I try to lean away from it. There's nothing about her that's inherently schmexual. I do like it to be more old Victorian dress, you know what I mean, where it's all puffy and feminine, but not in a womp 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 kind of way. Moving away from the design for a little bit, let's go into some more personality stuff about Chica. This is again continuing the non-spoilers section of the video. So, like I said, this AU was created by me when I was in middle school, and back then the animatronics didn't really have much of a personality. But nowadays they kind of do, because these animatronics are super advanced for some reason in the past and in the deep future. Deep future makes sense, past not so much. As of making this video, a lot of stuff has happened in the FNAF community. We got that giant prequel. We got that prequel game that came out. I already forgot what the name of the thing is. I've seen playthroughs of it. I think it's pretty neat. It just doesn't feel like a FNAF game, and that's because technically it's not a Five Nights at Freddy's game. It's before Five Nights at Freddy's. It's before Freddy's. I think it's still a cool game. It just kind of felt like someone wanted to make a copyright-free version of Five Nights at Freddy's, a fan game, but that's still legally different. Except there are some references to Five Nights at Freddy's, so it felt a bit strange. But hey, you're not here to hear me talk about the newest game that came out. I did think a lot of the designs were cool, don't get me wrong. I just, anyways. I will, however, say that it is ironic that I'm designing a version of Chica that is basically wearing a costume that makes her fluffy and cute and round, and we just had a game that came out with a version of Chica which is nothing more than a glorified costume with roller skates, which I think is even weirder to me, because in my first draft of this character when I was in middle school, I thought about putting Chica in roller skates, but then I was like, oh no, that's too ridiculous. It's a giant chicken in roller skates. I mean, yeah, they're going for this is a retro, we're going back to simpler days where Freddy's is cuter, and they're kind of leaning into the 80s cheese, and, roller skates are, super popular back then, but then I was like, nah, we're not going to do a roller rink, that would be too much. But now it's maybe I should have. Anyways, a lot of the design is basically the final version I came up with middle school with some tweaking, because I'm an adult now. Please ignore any weird noises in the audio. I'm trying to edit them out, but every time I record something, there's always some weird breathing in the background. I don't know. If I'm haunted, I'm haunted. I don't give a fuck. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that this Chica had a personality quirk, which I thought was original at the time, but ever since Help Wanted has been a kind of established trait of Chica, which is some misfiring in her program personality makes her want to scarf down pizza even though she can't eat it and it's actually destructive to her model. And canonically, taking her apart because of all these layers in her costume is an absolute nightmare. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of suffering where the mechanic or the technician has to peel back all these layers and fix all the things that happen because molten cheese is stuck in the gaps, or maybe somebody pushed over Chica because she's a little bit heavy or something like that, and it's a complete and utter nightmare doing repairs on her. And they eventually do it because she's one of the most popular characters for girls, and they kind of just can't keep her off stage for too long. But still, it's just something that happens. And because of that, Chica has the most neutral feelings towards mechanics or repair people, because she gets repaired so often. Speaking of maintenance, Chica is canonically the one with the worst memory because she keeps getting hers deleted and edited the most. Okay, and we're getting to the point where we're getting to the visual surprise, which is, surprise, I switched around the footage. So the footage you saw of me tracing over the sketches of the hands are actually me tracing over stretched out or slightly changed versions of the hand that I'm making here. And as you can see by what I'm tracing over, I physically drew in a sketchbook what I wanted to do for Chica and then took a picture and threw it into my art program to trace over because I could not figure it out in the digital format. Obviously, I had to change things from my sketchbook, which is why I painted over that even further, but yeah, you're probably wondering how did I achieve these things? Well, I looked at images of people reconstructing what velociraptors would look like and literal bird wings. I did an art study of actual animals to do this, and I'm actually proud of the result. Obviously, it's not super perfect or great, but it's good enough for what it is meant to be. Obviously, if this were a comic, I would simplify the wings. This is just to give you an idea of what they are supposed to look like. As you can see, there is an animatronic arm underneath the wings, and they sort of slide into the wing fabric, which is filled with feathers and is plush to give the illusion that the feathers are attached to like flesh and bone. But inside, it's just giant, unnaturally long arms with sharp, sharp claws. And I think that is fucking sick. And if you say it's not sick, then you never had your dinosaur phase, and I'm sorry for you. But me and all the autistic kids know that dinosaurs are sick. Okay, where was I before I went on that tangent? Ah, yes. So, the reason why Chica has the worst memory is because the head mechanic has the most access to her and therefore can delete unneeded or unwanted files. And because of that, Chica is a very strong, unreliable narrator when it comes to the animatronics' perspectives on the murders. And I guess I'll see you next time. Bye bye.